everybody. Welcome to Banner and Chance. Once again, we are here to have a great time playing D&D. Um, we have a pretty good episode planned for you guys, and I hope you have a lot of fun. Maybe what we'll start with is some introductions of our players. You'll note that Kelsey isn't with us tonight, and we're going forward. She'll be joining us next week. So kick us off there, Brad.
All right, I'll start off as I'm Brad, and I'm playing Rogar, the brass dragonborn paladin of Helm.
Hi,
Excellent.
I'm Aiden. I play Kane Harbinger. He is a variant human wizard slash fighter coming all the way from Waterdeep.
Yay.
I'm Luna. I'm playing Gin. She is a human Kensei monk all the way from Kozakura in the Far East.
Awesome.
My name is Shady. I'm playing Runt, the young rogue from Baldur's Gate.
Fantastic. Well, in addition to Rogar, Kane, Geen, and Runt, we have Clara, who I'll be playing as an NPC tonight, which is usually played by Kelsey. And then we are also joined currently by Wraithine Fell, a half-orc fighter who is just buried her daughter, or I should say incinerated or cremated her daughter, in a rather heavy last episode. Let's have a quick sum up. So our party is hot on the trail of Kane's uncle Burkle. They have been to a jail looking for them. They ran across a they ran across a caravan as they left the jail, and before they could even enjoy a night's sleep, Geen was snatched from them. This saw our party have to attempt to leave this caravan, but be stalled because the master of the caravan recognized Wraithine Fell and held her at sword point, not allowing our heroes to chase after their friend. Rogar acted as leader for the group, stood up and negotiated her release so that she could lead them both now to Geen and to Burkle. He also acquired a horse for some gold, but in the process, not just giving up gold, but actually having to sign a magical contract, swearing that he would not double cross this caravan master. Upon getting the signature, he released the party, who then spent a day in pursuit, heading towards their friend, or where they believed their friend to be. Right before the morning, Geen awoke, and she found herself having been knocked out for almost 24 hours, hearing a conversation between a crazed sorcerer and someone on the other end of a missive stone. It was notable because she heard the name of her sister, and she could hear the absolute desperation in this man's voice as he tried to convince them that she was actually her sister. The Geen was her sister, and he had her. He was summarily cut off because he had botched the theft of this caravan of Peter Mornhell. At which point, enraged, he turned on Geen, spitting all sorts of venomous threats and locking her in magical bonds. But luckily, as he ransacked through her things, he found her father's bell, and upon ringing it, Geen found herself released, in which case she engaged in mortal combat and defeated this foe. Unfortunately, before she had a chance to find out anything more of her sister. However, she now does have evidence that Karathur is indeed the one that is keeping her prisoner. Shortly after this, our party arrives at the same location where Geen was being held, and this is the Cove of Crowns. When they raced down into this area, they found they saw Raytheon Fell race into her tent, where she found the body of her daughter. Pleading with Rogar and screaming out loud, Geen was alerted to their presence and ran towards them to be greeted by a rather jovial and happy runt. They all then found themselves returning to a pyre that they had discovered on the way in, where there was a massacre, dead clerics and paladins of the Order of the Gauntlet. Where they had been there before, they found a journal of the head cleric of this order, Arkand Lavashield. This is now in their possession. Doing his duty, Rogar performed last rites for both the daughter and his fallen comrades, and with the help of his party, sent a column of holy light into the air. And it was here that we left the party, as the clouds parted, and over on a distant hill, the force that had so recently ransacked this marauders' camp at the base of this Cove of Crowns. And an evil presence there, a sorceress, who they've heard mention of, cast a spell causing one of the Grey Patriots who had fallen protecting this village to rise from the dead, turn, and threaten Rogar. Rogar quickly dispatched this corpse as his friends now raced towards the safety of this stronghold. And that's where we will pick it up. Geen and Clara, Runt, and Kane are all on horseback, racing towards the sandy ravine that heads into this encampment on the shores of the Moonsea. Rogar, you are standing with Raytheon Fell, and she is pleading with you. Let us go.
We must move. They're coming too quickly.
We're much safer there. She mounts the horse and kicks it into action. The two of you race, quickly catching up to the others as you are all heading through this sandy ravine that is twisting and turning and very quickly gaining in depth. You can hear the drums behind you of this force. From what you could tell, it was a menagerie of kobold and orc, other winged creatures, you're not exactly sure. You figure that you have a lead on them, but it is not a precious lead. You now find yourself moving along this sandy floor, and you've been here before, and you see this familiar sandy valley as you head towards the doors that you previously found open, stout oaken doors.
This whole entire time that we've been riding, at least as soon as Geen notices that Kane and Clara are somewhat next to her on their horse riding down this valley, she's going to turn to them and ask them, or tell them, there's a boat down there. Can you do wind or water magic?
No, but I'm a hell of a swimmer.
Clara, I have the ability to manipulate the elements, but I'm afraid that I don't know what I can do just yet. I just finished casting that spell to light the pyre. She seems a little confused and out of sorts. But we must get you out of here, she says, strangely.
We can get on the boat and try to escape, but it might be slow on the water.
You now find yourself going through, as you're saying this, you're going through that first set of oaken doors that is at the top of now the last of the open ramp that heads down into this camp.
Either we get on that boat or we continue moving on land to get away from them.
Hanging up the rear, I'll shout, "We won't make it."
For land or for boat?
If we get to the boat, that's our best bet.
Raytheon holds up her horse. Wait, Paladin, she says, as you cross through the gates. Help me, please. And she
I'll immediately
heads
dismount.
she heads to the oaken doors and she begins to shoulder them closed. What do the other two horses do now? Or do we have 5 total now, or 4 horses total,
I think we had 4, right?
including Raythene's?
Oh, so 5.
5. So
No.
the other Rogar is now off his horse, and so the other 3 are now heading down. Remember, Geen, you had your horse as well.
But I took Rent with me.
Yes.
And then Clara and Kane, did you guys get on the same horse?
Yes, we got on the same horse.
So
Okay.
we've got 4 horses in the party
So,
right
one,
now.
two, three,
So the other 2 horses, are they stopping? Or are they continuing down the ramp?
No, I'm going.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going down too.
As she's shouldering this closed, and Rogar, you help her close the one door, and then you move to the second. She says, "Find the crossbeam." She says, I don't understand why they didn't collapse the hall. That's what we call this valley, is the hall. There is a mechanism that can be tripped. I'm afraid I don't know how. And she closes the latch. We must prepare.
Do you at least know where the mechanism is?
All I know is that it's somewhere along this face. It would be obvious. It was constructed by soldiers. They wouldn't make it overly hidden.
Okay. With a soldier's background, trying to look around as quickly as possible, is it easy to spot?
You see off to one edge a heavy rope on the end of a ratcheting lever. You can see that the rope is tense.
Okay.
But it heads through the beam and into the ravine.
All right. I'll point out to her. There.
She heads over to it. Together. Go ahead and just roll strength check for me, please.
$19.
Same roll as she had. So I will say that is sufficient between the two of you to, you are able to pull it sharply back, and you can feel the rope move slightly. You hear nothing, but the rope is moving. She continues to ratchet it with your help.
Dig my heels in and continue to pull.
Okay. At this point, they're still pulling, and the rest of the party has reached the bottom of the ramp. Where are each of you heading? If you are to head off to the, you're facing south. If you are to head off to the east, you will first reach the stockyards where they house their livestock and their horses. And farther around the cove is a very narrow inlet. You can see the shipyards where they would maintain their fleet, small fleet. And then if you head to your west, you're going to be heading past a few outbuildings that look like they're sort of marshalling stations and offices almost. You'd then be heading past a tent city that is a semi-permanent village that's brought up around this settlement. And then gain an all too familiar road where if you head up it, you will reach the cabin that you were found in, which was the cabin of the leader of this force, who's long since fled. And at the mouth of that street, there are 2 features. Directly south, at the water's edge, heads this long natural pier, which snakes out, and that boat that you saw floating 30 feet beyond the end of that pier. It's a natural rock pier. Right next to that, you will see a galley or a drinking establishment that the locals had set up, and then some nets next to that. And then on that same main seafront road, You head a little bit further, and there are a set of 4 large warehouses, one of which is an overturned, dismantled hull of a ship. Just tell me quickly, which way are each of these horses? Are you heading in a direction? What's happening? You
Going
can hear
straight for the pier.
Yeah.
Like the entrance of the pier. The not onto the pier directly, but just to the entrance, knowing that if we've got time to kind of discuss things real quick, I'm going straight for that.
Okay, so
Yeah, I'm following Gein's lead right now.
so Geen and Clara will follow you as well. So, Clara's on the back with Kane, and Runt, you're on the back with Geen. So the 4 of you are heading towards the pier. At that point, Rogar, you feel the rope stop suddenly, and you almost feel nothing, and then suddenly the rope snaps loose, as if it's given up all hope, and you hear a low, angry rumbling from the other side of the gate. And suddenly your nostrils are filled with the sound of old and acrid dust, and almost the smell of flint as rock is shattered against one another. And part of this valley you just come through has collapsed now, and it has begun to be filled up, leaving the only way into this area. Somehow the attacking force now either has to clamber over this mess, tunnel through, or take their chances with the 400-foot cliffs that surround this town. What do you do?
Rafine, that's fantastic, but we still need to move. They had flyers. Things that took to wing.
You have been on the lam now for 15 minutes or so. You begin to make your way down the entry ramp or path. You are now at the edge of this pier. Geen and Kane and Runt on the back of the horse. What are you doing?
I'm waiting at the very beginning of the pier for Rogar.
Okay. As you're waiting, you see directly facing away from the pier now, you see directly to your left that drinking establishment. You see directly to your right the drinking establishment. Directly to your left the 4 warehouses. And then the road that left up to where you were found. Okay. Rogar, you are at gallop heading to them. Are you just waiting, the 4 of you?
I'm just waiting.
Okay, Shady, pardon me, Runt, Kane.
Looking at the warehouses, do they look like they're shipbuilding warehouses?
They look like they're storage warehouses. Are you outside them looking now, off your horse, or what are you doing?
Nothing, just I'm at the end of the pier with Geen and Runt.
The one you can see, though, is that you see this upturned boat, and on this upturned boat, which seems to be the most heavily constructed of all of them, actually, you see a red mark on the door. Okay? You can't make it out just yet, but it's a flash of red paint.
I'm gonna look to Geen. I'm gonna say, "I'll be right back," and I'm gonna ask Claire to get off really quickly, so I can ride over to the warehouse, see if there's a boat in there that we can use.
Clara slips off, and she says, "Are we going for that boat then? Is this the plan?"
I'm gonna check the warehouse.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna see what's up with the boat. I'll be at the end of the pier, and she runs down to the end of the pier. Shady, pardon me, Geen and Runt.
I'm still looking for Rogar. I'm gonna stay put until he comes in.
Same.
Okay. When you get to the door of the heavy warehouse, you see a symbol that you're not actually unfamiliar with. It's something that in your training in Waterdeep was a fairly common symbol. It essentially means no flame, no smoking. Okay?
Okay.
Rogar, you are heading past 10 City. Raylene is now starting to come up on the group.
As soon as we reach everyone, I'll pull up Strong and look around and say, "Where's Kane?"
He went to that warehouse.
What warehouse?
I point to the warehouse.
If I see Game Point, I'm gonna wave my hands over here,
All right.
and I would most likely try to ride back and tell him it's like a gunpowder storage warehouse.
Okay, you see Rogar. You see in front of you the entire party with Clara running down the pier, Kane running towards you. You see. Have you dismounted now, or are you still mounted?
I'm still on the horse.
At this point, no, I will dismount.
Okay, and you see and you see Raytheon in front of you dismount. At that point, you begin to feel uneasy, and you hear the flapping of leathery wings. You look up over the edge, and you see a score of these winged kobolds begin to circle in the sky above you.
Do we hide or run for the boat?
I'd say we stand here and make hell for them. If there's something over there that will explode, all we need is an accelerant. Just like before.
So we wait till they all come and blow them up?
If we can find a pinch here, they have to make their way past us. It's a funnel. Look, it narrows.
If I grab one of the gunpowder barrels, if it is gunpowder, I could lay it down on the entrance of the pier, and I think I might be able to make a shot and shoot at it.
Excellent idea, Kane.
And as he says that, I'm going straight back to the warehouse and opening it up.
You reach the door of the warehouse. It is soundly locked.
What kind of lock?
A very heavy lock. A means business type of lock.
I'm just gonna
large padlock on a sliding bolt.
Dang, I don't have knock. Okay, I'm just gonna take my quarterstaff and I'm just gonna try to hit it, see if that does anything.
I'm watching Kane.
It does not.
If I see him struggling, I'm gonna turn back to Rent and say, "Go help Kane, I'll help Clara." And I'm gonna jump off and run to Clara.
All right, I'm going to help Kane.
Okay. Okay, so just to sum up now, we have where is everybody right now? Kane, Runt, you're heading towards Kane. Clara is heading down the pier. Geen, you are?
I'm going down to the pier with Clara.
Okay. Rogar.
Standing back to back with Raytheon, and again handing her the mace. Turning, not even looking back, just handing the mace.
Thank you. Thank you. She takes the mace willingly. Okay. At the warehouse. Runt, I would like you to roll. Go ahead and roll dexterity or perception for me.
Dexterity or perception?
Mm-hmm. Whatever you're
What am I trying to do?
Unlock, I would assume, aren't you?
Yes, that's going to be my thieves' tools here. That is a 17 plus 6.
Okay.
Atta girl.
3.
There is no effect. None whatsoever.
I want to look at the lockpick. Throw it.
Okay. Yeah. There was no feel of a mechanism. There was nothing in that felt rewarding at all as you.
Then I will look at Kane and go.
Yeah. I think with your skill, you can quickly realize that this is a false lock altogether. It's not. It is not going to open this way.
seeing that didn't work, can I make a perception check on the door to see if there's an actual lock or any seams of like a hidden mechanism?
Yeah, I would say as you thump, it is definitely a door. You feel that the bolt in front has very little to do with anything, though. In fact, it feels more as if it's barred from the inside.
Shit. Okay. There's no other way in.
Not
I'm
at the
gonna,
front.
I'm gonna say to Brian, I think this isn't gonna work out. Maybe the other warehouses might have something.
Runt, are you going to?
Well, I'm not gonna leave him
listen.
by himself. So if he takes off for another warehouse, I'm gonna follow him just to make sure he doesn't get himself in trouble.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a quick pass by the warehouses, and then if there's nothing of that, nothing that can be really useful, I'm heading straight back to the dock.
You do notice one thing as you're passing the other bit, and I'm actually say Runt as you're surveying the situation. You are looking around. When you head into the other warehouses, they're easily opened. It appears to be various soft goods, silks, things that you they're just general trade goods. Nothing, nails, some barrels of salt cod, things of this nature.
Right. I'm gonna cut a piece of silk and then tie a bandana on.
Okay.
What about any tar or pitch?
Not in these two warehouses. Not in the
Keep
two open
looking.
warehouse. Okay.
Keep looking, keep looking.
Are you screaming this? Is Rogar screaming this from the dock? Now, Rogar, you are only about 15 feet away from said warehouse.
When
right?
when he being Kane runs away, where are you going now?
There's nothing in the first. Well, there's nothing in the other two warehouses. The first one's dead. It's not working.
Level my sword at the structure that looks like it's an inn, not an inn, but a ale house. Alcohol.
You're right. And I start riding towards the alcohol house.
All right. You also see, so Runt, as you're running back, you see a small vent structure on the top of this boated house, obviously to relieve the heat from this thing. Look out! Wraithine cries. Rogar, you are pelted by a semi-large boulder that begins to fall down from the sky from some height. Soon, monstrous, well, not monstrous, but rocks the size of your head are oh, maybe not yours, maybe Runt's head, are dropping from the sky, and you hear softer wings following them. That one glances. Yes, that one glances off your shoulder plate, not doing much damage, but then down the street to the next to the warehouse, where Runt is not far away from, you see 3 winged kobolds land, small, snarling, and 3 more behind them, sort of hanging back, and those winged kobolds run at you with daggers. Okay, Rogar. As this is going on, Runt, you're passing by the boat-topped house again, the boat-topped warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And Kane, I'm just getting straight here. And Kane, you've passed this scene, and you are now in this house. Wraithine Fell is next to you, mace drawn. Okay.
Okay.
I just would like all of you, just for the purpose of order right now, would ask you just to quickly roll initiative, and I'll be going table hot.
Okay. 13.
16.
26.
17.
Okay. At the end of the pier, Clara and Geen are surveying the boat. Kane, you are running to this drinking establishment. Wraithine and Rogar are now faced off against these 3 winged kobolds. Rogar, I would like you to decide how you would like to act.
Definitely going to swing at one of them, but as a bonus action to intimidate them into coming at me.
Sure. You can go ahead and roll intimidation.
Intimidation's a 17.
Yeah, if you're egging them on, the three directly in front of you and the three that were hanging back are now all convinced that they definitely want a piece of you.
Okay.
And so they snarl and
I'll speak at them in Draconic, actually. Come at me! Cowards, come at me!
The mistress will be so happy. And they raise both, all their daggers and they race at you in a blind fury.
The first one is going to be, or the attack is going to be a 19 with 6 points of slashing.
You hit soundly, and that one is bloodied and cast to the side. Over your shoulder, do you have another attack?
No.
Oh, and over your shoulder, Raythene swings, but it is a miss, and she moves to your back to try to guard it. The three attack, two are successful, one with a crit for a total of
On me or on her?
on you for a total of 10 points of damage. Yipping and snarling, the other three now enter the fray, trying to get their jabs in. Only one of them is successful to hit Raythene.
I'll use protection and
that halves
turn
the
around.
damage.
Actually, no, it's going to give it a disadvantage to the roll.
All right.
Turn around and beat it down with my shield.
Yep, and you are successful in thwarting that. You are against these 6 winged kobolds. At the end of the pier, what are you doing with Clara? What should we do, Geen?
I'm looking at the boat. So you said it was 30 feet away from the docks?
30 feet away from the dock.
30 feet away from the dock. Is it, so it's not tied to the docks, it's just in the water?
It's in the water.
Crap.
There's a rope at the stern and a rope at the bow heading into the water.
Can I try and jump into the boat?
A 30-foot jump?
I've got 40 feet walking distance or speed, and if I need to, I can spend a key point for Step of the Wind and double my jumping distance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is it? Am I able?
Is that dexterity or is that athletics? What's that?
To be honest, I'm not sure. It's just
Anyone? Because I don't know
yeah.
it. So.
Yeah. So it says for Step of the Wind, it's you can spend a key point dash
action, bonus
dash
action on your
yeah.
turn, and your jump distance.
Jump distance is doubled.
And your jump distance is usually.
Well, is the jump distance the same as your walking speed? Because mine's 40 feet.
I'm going to defer to the group, actually.
Because if I can jump just regular 30 feet without spending the key point, I would do that. But if I have to spend the key point, I'll do that. But it's 30 feet.
So it says long jump. You can make a long jump to cover a number of feet up to your strength score if you move at least 10 feet on foot immediately before the jump. You're gonna make a standard leap half that distance, either way each foot. So half the distance of that would be 30 divided by 2, 15. But if it's 40.
So your strength is 10. So that's your jump space is 10, and that doubles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
I think.
At a full run, that's 20 feet.
Yeah, 20 feet. So you can make it halfway there to jump with a wind-up.
So if I do Step of the Wind to double my jumping distance, I can make it.
You can swim 10 feet.
But
distance, which would be...
Yeah, because your jumping distance is 10, correct? Or 20?
It would be 10 base.
Oh boy.
I think it would be 10 base, and then when you double it, it'll be 20. If that's the case, then it's better than being 0.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
you're
I
gonna make it
can't-
most of the way there.
Okay, so I can't.
Step of the wind will take you at a 20-foot clearance.
Okay. Well, if I know that, if I know I'm not going to be able to make it over there just by jumping, I'm going to look for something on the pier, hopefully a rope or some sort of
You can see a piece.
board
Sure.
that would help me get into that boat.
The rope at the stern of the boat is tied to something that's floating in the water, and that something is pointing at you. It's a large piece of timber, square stalk timber. You're not exactly sure of the shape, but it looks like an oddly shaped, very long raft, or just a plank. It's very strange, and it is within 20 feet.
How big is the plank?
It is at least 30 feet long. Well, sorry, it's at least 20 feet. 15 feet long. So it is. It's sort of. Its one butt end is up against the hull of the ship, and it's coming 15 feet towards you at least. Yeah, you would say from what you can see.
Okay. Then I want to jump onto that, and then I guess if the rope is connected from that to the boat, climb on the rope to get into the boat.
Very good. I am going to say you are jumping onto a slippery surface.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I would like you to. You have to make. I'm going to say you have to make a roll for that,
Okay.
and you're going to roll at disadvantage.
Okay. What is it going to be? Acrobatics or?
Yeah, we'll say acrobatics if that's your best score. Just go with acrobatics or athletics, whatever you've got.
I'll go acrobatics. Oh, I need another one. That was pretty good. 20.
Well, then you're gonna make it. Okay, you land on this slick surface, and you immediately begin to have to balance on this odd chicken leg shaped thing that it's tied to. Okay.
Then I'm
You can
gonna
see two other
pull
ropes
myself.
in the water that are just
Mhm.
floating aimlessly. So you can run now to the end of this, and then there's a rope that is heading up onto the top deck.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the rope. I'm gonna pull it so that I'm pulling myself towards the boat. And as
You're
soon as
already right there. You can run to
Oh,
the
I'm
end of
already-
this plank thing, and you're
Okay.
right there.
Okay, and am I like? Where am I in conjunction to the boat? Is it
You're
really
right
high?
right next to it. Right next to it, the boat is 16 feet high.
Okay,
The deck.
then I'm gonna climb the rope to get onto the boat.
Yeah. Let's say I wouldn't even. Sorry, the rope is 16 feet long. Let's say it's only 8 feet to the floor rail, so you can grab that and haul
Okay.
yourself over this short little gunnel rail. Okay.
Okay.
As you land there, you immediately see the dark form of the body that you had seen pegged to the floor of this boat. When you see it, it's a man. He's hunched over. He has a slightly metallic javelin through his chest, embedded in the deck, and he's just limply hanging over it. Shaggy man, young man, 18 years of age.
Okay. Is it, looking at this, does it seem possible for me to push him off the boat? Like pull the javelin out and like just kind of push him off into the water?
You're gonna pull the javelin out and try to push him off into the water?
Yeah, because I don't want him on my boat.
Sure. Do you want to attempt to remove the javelin?
Yeah.
Okay, the moment you touch it, you hear a gasp.
Damn it.
Back at the foot of the pier. Oh, and Clara's, what's going on? She says from the end of the pier. Hang on. On the street, one kobold is down, 5 are attacking. You see this all happening, Runt. What is your action?
She is going to pull out her 2 daggers and stealthily speed up behind whichever one Rogar is in front of.
Okay. You would have to get through a couple to get to that. So I'll say you're coming in on the one whose back is to the one behind Rogar, behind the one that's on Rogar. They're too deep at this point. Okay.
All right, then I'm gonna attack
Go ahead, please.
with my daggers. The first one is a 15.
Okay.
And that's 8 damage on that one.
Okay.
And the second one was a 17, and that would be 5 damage.
And they are both going to hit. Sorry, the first one again was
15 for 5 or 8. Sorry.
15 for 8. That one drops immediately. The other one turns to look at you, and then also sinks to its knees. But not quite out. Okay. I'm going to come back to you, Kane, in a second. Rogar, go ahead. You see your blonde-headed ward in front of you drop two that have just attacked you.
All right. Continue to press the assault, thrusting my shield as a distraction into the one in front of me, and cut again with 17 to hit and 7 to damage.
All right, that one is flattened. They don't appear to have too much. Sorry, that was 7 to damage. That one is dropped completely. The one who you had originally got is starting to get to his feet and turn back towards you. The one on on Runt that's at the end of her dagger is shocked and snarling and begins to raise his blade. At which point, Raythene long bombs a mace hit over top of your shoulder, squarely aimed at the one on Runt's sword, and hits, finishing it off, and it slides lifelessly from your blade. There are still 2 untouched kobolds to deal with. We move now, Kane. You have reached this drinking establishment. You enter the main building. You can see that there's bars and broken glass, broken wine bottles. Nothing much of note. However, there is a large copper still in front of you, and you can smell the acrid smell of alcohol through everything. In your arcane studies, you are well aware of that scent.
Okay. And I know that's highly flammable?
You do.
Okay.
But you also realize that with... actually, can you just give me I guess that would be a wisdom check?
Wisdom check? Alright.
Yeah, just to see if you have any knowledge about how stills work.
6.
Yeah, this is flammable stuff, and there's some of it over there.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go over to the still, and is it bolted to the table?
This still is quite large. It's the size of a large oil drum, the size of a hot water heater in our world. The copper pipes that are coming out of it come out of a rather large mash pit. So this would be the spirit still part of this, where the pure essence of the alcohol is caught.
Okay, I'm going to. Is there a bucket where it's catching all the essence?
What you can see is that in their haste, whoever abandoned this may have well been running, because it's actually seeping out around the entry nozzle. You would imagine that it was never meant to get this full.
Oh, wow. Okay. So is it like a bottle that's dripping into, or is it like that's the whole
No, it's just,
still?
it's dripping onto the floor of this place, the mud floor.
Oh, God.
You're walking in it.
Oh, it's mud. So it's like mud infused essence of alcohol.
Mud infused high test alcohol, yeah.
Okay, that's good. If there's a bucket nearby, I'm gonna get a bunch of that mud and plop into the bucket. If there's a bucket nearby,
I'll say that there's a rag bucket. Sure, you've got
Okay.
a small rag bucket that's used to clean the tables.
This is so stupid. Okay, I'm gonna get a bunch of the mud and I'm gonna pour it into the bucket.
Okay, I'm gonna say that is your movement. Okay.
All right, cool.
All right. All right. We're back on the end of the pier. Geen, you are on the boat. This person has begun to stir, and Clara is on the deck of the pier, the very end of the pier, looking at, like, trying to see you and wondering what's happening, trying to get a bead on you in the daylight
As
here as you're
as
behind
soon
this shape.
as soon as that guy gasps for breath, I'm pulling out my longsword and just looking at his face. Does he look like he's undead, or does he look like he's just still alive after being attacked?
You're a pretty thing, is all he can manage. As he sort of falls unconscious again, lips dry, parched from spending several days exposed and in the sun. He's not an unhandsome thing. He's actually, he's average looking, but he's not ugly, and he's definitely not dead.
Okay.
Straight blonde hair, blue eyes, smooth, dark colored skin.
Okay. Kind of weirded out by that. I'm just gonna keep that sword in my hand, but I'm looking around on the boat for anything I could possibly throw to Clara to help get people onto this boat, or some sort of like a plank that I could put out, just something.
You note that as you ran across this funny floating shape, you noted that there was on the thin end of this thing, which is a thin end, like that, the size of an oar, it was tied to the boat and banging against the hull point first. At the long end, you can see sort of midway down that there were other longer ropes that were just in the water floating. And you would be able to get to the end of this, or midway down this plank, and throw one of those ropes to Clara. She might be able to pull the plank closer and actually step onto it. You might have to do some sort of funny shuffle thing, but you could get her there if she doesn't want to jump for it herself or swim.
Okay, so there's nothing on the boat that I could
No,
put over there. Okay.
no, but if you could get her the end of one of those other ropes, it's with enough strength, she could potentially pull the end of this long boat towards you. Now, to understand what this boat is 8 feet across and it's 40 feet long. It is not a small ship. It is a lake-going vessel from the Moonsea. A single deck, but long, and not meant for either trade or possibly with this group in mind as an assault vessel.
All right. Thinking that, pretty sure Clara doesn't want to have to try to jump on this thing, I'll come over to the side and yell out to her, "I'm going to help you get on." And I'll get back, I guess, onto that plank and throw that rope to her.
As you work on that, we are back at Runt. I will say, given the order we've fallen into, I'm just going to go ahead with that. Runt, you're free to act. You have 3 of these kobolds between you and your big friend.
Well, I'm gonna keep attacking, and with both daggers. The first one I rolled a 1, so second one I got a 15, and then for 8 damage if that hits.
All right, no, that does hit, and it drops that small kobold to the ground. At this time, you can still hear a mass of wings above you, circling. Okay, Rogar, to you.
The exact same thing I did before, assaulting the next one at 16 with 11 damage.
That definitely skewers one. And Raythene scores a crit and flattens the third. So you are you have extinguished the 6 kobold who now lie crushed at your feet. But it's a short-lived victory, knowing that there is, in the mists above you, these morning mists, you can hear the flap of leathery wings and the sounds of drums in the distance.
In trying to help myself there in just a moment, the moments that we have, I'm going to use one of those vials that we had before.
Mm-hmm. These are the restoration.
Right.
Okay.
And I get 6 back.
Okay. Kane.
All right. I got my bucket of mud alcohol, and I'm going to go outside, get back on my horse, and ride back to the dock.
Okay, all of this is in quite close proximity. Your horse is essentially at the end of the dock now, so you walk over to your horse. All right, you have this bucket of mud.
Okay, I'm gonna look to Brogar and say, this might work. I'm gonna spread it across the entrance, and I start dumping it out, spreading it across the entrance of the dock. So
Okay.
once we get to the end of it, I'm gonna light it. I'm gonna light it on fire.
All right, so you're preparing a flaming defense.
Yeah. It's worth a try, but I'm gonna ready shocking grasp.
Sure.
So I'm really hoping electricity starts it.
Okay, so in real time here, you've fended off this first attack. You can hear that there is a force approaching. They are not seen yet. You have seen these initial winged creatures now, and you're assuming there are some above you. And as you're thinking this, there is a horn blasting in the distance. Okay, here you are amidst these warehouses and this distillery and the town as a whole. What would you like to do at this point? And you are free to talk. Talking is a free action.
Wait for it. Wait. Not yet.
Okay.
Yep.
Runt?
Wait to see what everybody else does.
Okay. All right.
Can we see the end of the dock and Gein's movement frantically back and forth? Or is that too far? Is she just a little blip?
You can see the dock is quite large, long, 90 to 100 feet.
Okay, never mind.
You can see what they're doing. They're busying themselves trying to you can see them busy between the dock and the boat, you're assuming that they're trying to swing the boat or get each other on it or something.
Raytheon, tell me that you can do something with that boat.
I'll have to look. And she sprints off down the
Jetty.
pier. Raytheon gets to the end. Gein, you're there with Clara. Clara has just received the rope that you've tossed to her, and she says, "Ah, I see. Hand that to me." And with her corded muscles, she and Clara begin to pull it. It straightens the ropes that are each attached to the end of this plank thing. And she says, "Rogar, I'm gonna need your help." And they're pulling the end of this boat, and the stern begins to swing very slowly as it's anchored by its nose towards the dock.
Run, go.
Hang
Kane,
off.
wait until the last moment. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yep. You head to the end of the dock. Gein, where are you now? Are you still on this? Are you balancing on this timber, or are you back on the boat?
If as soon as Raytheon grabbed the rope from me, I'm gonna jump back on the boat.
Sure. The boat is now pulled. I will just ask the question. Kane, where are you?
I'm at the entrance, like the starting entrance of the dock, by the mud I poured out,
Yep.
readying with
Sure.
shocking grasp.
Sort of on guard. All right. And where are you looking?
I am just looking straight towards the entrance that we came in from the valley.
All
Just
right.
waiting for like the first sign.
All right. And Geen, what are you busy doing?
If I see them pulling on that, then I'm just kind of keep my eyes either up, around, just looking at stuff, just making sure nothing's coming at us.
Okay. As you're surveying this and as you're seeing what they're pulling up out of the water, because Rogar, as you get there and you begin to haul on this rope, this large timber, and I mean it's huge, it's 200 pounds and long, is pulled as a centerpiece between these two ropes up, and you can actually pull it to the point where you can almost grab a hold of it. Geen, when he does and you're looking at him, two things come to your mind. One is you know what this piece of wood is. And all of you suddenly realize where this piece of wood should be. This is a great tiller. And it's a rudder that hangs off the back of this boat. It's a large poled rudder. And as the end of the boat swings and heads towards you and actually strikes the rock underneath the water where the natural pier extends down to the water and stops, you see a sun shadow of where the wood had long been protected, of where its old tiller, or perhaps this one, would have sat as this was being repaired. This is a 250-pound waterlogged piece of, well, slightly waterlogged piece of timber.
I can drag it 510 pounds.
Okay. You are on the edge of this jetty.
Raytheon, I don't know anything about boats, but this looks extremely important. What is it?
It's a rudder. It
A
looks
what?
like a rudder. It looks like the rudder. The tiller. It's what we use to steer the boat.
And it can't be steered without one.
No, not a boat this size.
Is there any way to get it attached? As ridiculous as that sounds.
I don't know. I'm assuming they must have been trying to repair it, trying to get this boat ready to leave. Ran out of time. I don't know. I don't know what happened here. I would assume we need to take a look on the deck and figure it out.
See what else you can do. I'm going back to help Kane.
Okay. You turn around and run. Raytheon ties off the short end of the rope to the pier, and feeling reasonably confident, I guess she gets over and she gets up onto the deck of the pier and she looks. Jaren, what are you doing here? And she's speaking to the man with eyes that are just mere slits with kind of a small smile on his face. Raytheon, I'd like to say I'm happy to see you. And he spits a little bit of blood.
I'm just doing this between the two of them.
I didn't know you'd travel with such pretty things. Ugh. Looks like we're all stuck here, huh? And he's still skewered, he's literally leaning over with this spear still in the deck. Runt, where are you at this point?
When they were holding on and trying to pull the rope, I wanted to climb over Rodgar and use Thaline's head as the last step to jump onto the boat.
Sure. So you're on the boat and you're watching this happen?
Mm-hmm.
Are you mid-deck? Are you right next to them? Where are you?
I assume I'm right next to him, trying to protect everybody.
Okay. Amidst all of this, you hear what sounds like possibly, I don't know, small sacks falling behind you. Several of them. Falling from the sky. You turn and you look. They're not sacks. Instead, they're fuzzy balls some of them are falling into the water. They look strange until they jump up and begin to skitter towards you. You're in front of, let's say, 8 rather large, not monstrous, but large spiders. And they are beginning to, now having been gotten their bearings, they are skittering around the deck. Some of them have fallen into the water, and they are turning all of their eyes, each of them. Each of those black little beady eyes are turning on you and just watching you. Kane, you're at the end of the pier. Are you doing anything else at this point?
Kane's gonna quickly cast Mage Armor on himself,
Sounds wise.
which is 13 plus Dexterity. I got it.
Rogar, you come up to the end of the pier.
Okay. After he's just cast that. All right. So this is absolutely saturated in alcohol, correct?
Yep.
All right. I can set my blade aflame. So that's all we need. We just need the host to show up, or at least a solid portion of them. And then we blow this and we make our way back to the ship.
Yes, I could also set it off myself. Just, I can stay behind while you get to the boat, try to fix whatever. What's happening on the boat?
I have absolutely no idea. The only thing that's missing is something known as the tiller. It's
Do I have any boat knowledge?
Yeah, and from Waterdeep, you definitely do. You know
Tiller?
what a tiller is. You've had lots of sailing experience.
I can help out with this. You light it, and I start running down towards the boat.
All right. This boat is larger than what you're used to. This tiller is larger than what you used to, at least piloting. You've piloted small craft as a child and these kind of things. But you get the general understanding of this thing. As you find your way up onto the deck, you realize that at the last, the heavy setup at the very end of the last rail, there is a large greased bearing with a big space for a pin in the middle of it, and you can see at the tiller that there is a reinforced section where it angles, where one half descends into the water and in the thick end can steer the boat, and the other longer end can be manhandled around as a lever to steer that, to twist that rudder. What you don't see is you don't see a pin as thick as your arm.
I'm gonna quickly check my quarterstaff, see if it's this thick.
Your quarterstaff is probably that thick, but it's a quarterstaff. So
Yeah. Do I see anything around me that can act as a pin? And if I don't see anything on top, on deck, I'm gonna go below deck and see if there's anything in there.
you race below deck, looking through it, and as you do, and you can see the realization in your eyes. This man that's pinned to the deck still looks up at Raythene and says, "He's figured it out. He's not gonna find anything down there." And he barfs up some blood.
Shit. So I'm guessing that's about all the actions I can do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think we're there. Rogar, with your military experience, you would expect to see this alcohol-soaked mud produce a 2 to 3 foot flame if you're lucky. It's quite saturated with mud and water, so I'm going to say for a moment that you might get a flame out of this.
Okay.
But you're there thinking about this, and you're looking at it, and you're considering it, and you're thinking just how flammable is this alcohol-soaked dirt.
It's worth a shot.
Mm-hmm.
So as the host, the mists above, are they clearing enough for me to see exactly how many are above?
Yes, you can see that you have at least 2 dozen flying kobolds just surveying the situation, and some of them are returning back over the cliff face where you hear the drums emanating from. Some are now, extending their way over the camp. Several of them have landed or will land and look around. They're obviously surveying things. They take off again. They're returning back over the lip.
Okay.
The ones that were over the boat have deployed their spider bombs and have returned.
When
back that way.
they're the majority of their force is making their way back to return to their master to report, that's when I'm going to cast Searing Smite, take my sword, and drive it straight into the ground.
You smote that ground, and the flame, and it indeed alights with Searing Smite. It burns and begins to come up, and then quickly fizzles and dies. The concentration of alcohol was just not thick enough, not dense enough to manage anything. And mockingly, that lock sits in front of you, not 15 feet away. With this, we see this gaggle of spiders carefully watching Runt, and then twitching every time they see a small movement behind her. And their pincers are gnashing, and you can see that they're just looking for any sign of movement.
I want to kind of hold my hand out, try to feel for Geen. She's next to me.
Sure, you're able to touch the back of her shoulder.
And I go,
Off the birds! Off the birds!
I kind of turn my body to Runt and then kind of
Yep.
look.
So you see these 8 spiders about the size of your hand around, and they're just sort of all beginning to kind of coalesce. Some of them are hanging to the side of the boat. The ones now that you saw Runt drop into the water are quickly these large trout or some sort of fish are coming up and nabbing these things. A few of them have stopped struggling and have sort of turned over, and their legs have begun to curl underneath them. Clara, who is now on the boat, looks at these things and just goes, "Oh God, spiders!" She comes to stand next to you. She's like, "Well, are we gonna kill him, or?"
Do they look like they're coming after us, or they're just standing where they are?
As when they watch Clara slowly saddle up next to you, their eyes are all on her, and they all take a pensive step forward.
Can I pull out my longbow and see if I can take a shot at it?
Sure. As soon as you
Okay.
reach for your quiver, they notice that, and four of them begin to skitter towards you.
Okay. As soon as they're coming at me, I just pull it and see if I can take a shot at it.
Yep.
And with that, I'm also using my Kensei shot as my bonus action to add an extra D4 if I hit.
Sure.
That's 19 to hit, and that's 10 damage.
Yeah, you don't. That thing just explodes. These are hamsters, and that shot just goes through the deck and just eviscerates this thing.
Okay.
Okay, 3 more are coming at you, Runt.
I'm gonna stab, and I got a 23 on the first attack for 5 damage, and then a 18 on the second attack for 6 damage.
Easily poke, and you've now got 2 skewers.
I'm gonna go and throw him off.
Clara steps in and steps on the other 2. Squash, and quickly dances on them, and they both explode under her feet. Back on the dock.
I'm just thinking so much for her perfect appearance that she always likes to keep.
Yeah, she's high heel boots and just crush two of them. Now, at which point the other, I think we had 4 on you. The other 4 are now rushing towards you too. So we are. They haven't posed to be that big of challenge, and at this point, oh, pardon me. I did have one that was able to bite Clara as she stepped on it, and yep. And she will take damage and look rather pale, but quickly regains her color. Okay, we are back at the end of the... Oh, so we're now at the tiller, and Raytheon is talking to this man. You've got to be able to help us. He says, we're not doing anything without this pin. We are... Raytheon will then turn and yell to you, Rogar. We need to get this tiller in place, and we need to find a steel pin the size of your arm. Well, maybe not your arm, maybe Kane's arm. She screams at you.
Okay.
Do you want to do anything with that information?
The ones that are fleeing, there were warehouses that look as though they had stores of goods and extra repairs, correct? Or warehouses where it looked like they would do natural repairs.
Yes, they're around this place. In fact, in the structure, there are lots of large metal bolts. There are hinge bolts. There are actually on the doors of these things. Right? There is iron around.
Right. Is there anything that looks like what she's describing?
You can find pieces of metal that are bolts, tacks, nails. You don't see anything terribly large as you leave the last open warehouse. You can hear now a cackles and footfalls and distant sounds bouncing off the clouds of an army approaching. But you did not see anything immediately as you checked the first 2 warehouses.
Okay. Are there messengers still trying to get back over the top?
They've been constantly surveying and sweeping around you. Now you can actually see that a few of them have gathered at the foot of that gate and are way up on the hilltop and are slowly assembling. Yep. And you can also start to see a few kobolds starting to peek up over the edge of the cliff faces.
Okay, well, if we can keep arrows off of the top of us, and they'll have to fire blind, I am going to cast Searing Smite again, take my sword, and run it length long through the boards of the house that says, "Do not light," and then run like hell.
All right. Okay. Directly through the crack of the door where it says "No fire allowed."
Right.
Searing
door aflame.
The door is suddenly aflame, and you run. Where are you running to?
Running to the jetty.
You are now on the jetty. You run to the end of the jetty. You can see the front. The door is continuing to burn. The flames actually, they burn, but they're not burning super bright. You see wisps of smoke coming from the building. You're at the end of the jetty.
The building's aflame! The building's aflame!
Okay. What would you like to do? I'm gonna give you what I'm gonna.
Is it easy?
Where are you heading? What's your next move? I guess.
Is it easy for me to cross over onto the boat as well?
You can see that this large timber is next to you.
Okay.
Okay, so you can begin to cross the timber if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
Are you going to untie it or are you going to leave it tied up?
If we can leave it tied up, then I can pull it in. I can help to drag it literally, because my drag pound is so high.
Sounds good.
Once I hit base, though, what exactly do I see for the first time?
Once you hit which?
The actual base of the ship. The
Sure. So I'm going to say the boat is now bumping up against this natural pier. You were able to get on it fairly easily. The tiller is floating next to it, not yet drug up on deck. You reach up, you're able to pull yourself up on deck, and you see this man stuck into the deck with his this javelin, and he sort of looks up at you and he's like, "Let's get this party started." And he's not in a good way, this guy. Raytheon Fell is standing next to him. She obviously knows this guy. She continues to sort of look down on him, and she says, "Well, did you get it? Did you get the pin?"
I didn't see anything like it, but what about that? I'll say, pointing directly at the pin sticking in his chest.
Okay, you immediately recognize that as a javelin. You may well be able to use it, but it is quite a bit smaller than this hole. This
Right.
hole that would probably be 2.5 inches across. The javelin, of course, is something that's meant to be held onto, so that might be, an inch at most. But
Will
as
I
you
do in a
as
pinch?
but as you regard it, you see that it's a pale blue. There are silver runes on it, and you also notice, for the first time with your sense, the singed smell of this gentleman's hair. And yes, it could do in a pinch. You don't know. It could be bent in half and snap. It's a big tiller, and it's a big hole, and that's a small steel thing. But it could do.
Runt, come here. Have you ever seen anything that looks like this before? Gesturing to the runes, and I'm...
Runt, I'm just going to say that you're able to scamper over to him, but as you do, the 3 other spiders are just advancing. So we're going to deal with that in a second, okay? Only because you did this. Okay, so Runt is next to you, quick as lightning. What did you're asking if she's seen anything
ever
like
seen
this?
anything like that before?
You could
Have
take it
I?
out. You could take it out of my chest. I'd like that a lot. This guy says.
Have I ever seen anything like the runes that are on it?
No.
Okay.
The strange adventures. Okay, well then what I'm going to do is, if I have that split second, I'm going to use a portion of my lay on hands cool, because there's no telling what's going to happen when this thing comes out of him.
Yep.
And I will give 3 positive hit points to him.
Sure. You remove this front or back, by the way. Do you pull it up out of the deck and then through his front, or do you pull it out of the deck and out his back?
I'll say this is going to hurt.
Yoink.
And then push back on him, but leave it in the deck. And as soon as I do, let my hand glow. And
All right.
give him immediate healing.
He definitely feels that. He's then, as a spurt of blood comes out his front and his back, your healing immediately begins to mend his wounds. The one thing that I would say, I would just like you to roll perception for me very quickly. Or actually, let's make it. Yeah, go ahead.
7.
7.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so you pull it out. You feel that he is going to be okay. You're fairly confident, and now you've got him upright, even though he looks like he's pretty weathered. And he goes, "Thanks, Scaly," and sits down, sort of slumps down on the side of the gunnels, and he's like, he looks over his shoulder and he goes, "Same ones that got us before. I guess they're back for more. Are we gonna get moving or what?" And he's still sort of healing inside and very parched.
Turning around to Raythene, I'll hold out the javelin and say, "It's rune covered. It has to be magical. Kane, can you take a look at it? See if it can hand."
Kane hears runes. He turns around and runs up, and he's gonna. I can't cast Identify on the spot, so can I make an Arcana check to see if I recognize anything about the runes? What it could mean?
You can. You look at this thing. They're definitely weapon related, but you don't have to do much of a check to realize. And Raythene actually says, that's your father's javelin. You must have been a fairly naughty boy to see that going in. And you're. Do you need to roll, Kane? You can if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arcana.
10.
Yeah, so you're not. You're reasonably sure that it's weapon related and that it's a magical item. She confirms though. She says, "I don't know what this is called, but it spits lightning. And I also can't imagine his father leaving it behind unless he had something important to do or he was scared out of his mind. But I'm also curious how it ended up in your back, Jaren."
Will it stand as a pin?
We will see. And I run over to the pinhole, and I'm going to, if I can, take out my quarterstaff, put them together, and jam it in the hole to see if I can make it as thick as the hole.
You feel that your quarterstaff in this could potentially work, actually. The two of these things would sort of act as a dual bearing, and it may not be pretty. But of course the tiller is not in place yet.
And
The tiller now has become lodged on the rocks between the boat as the tide is pushing it.
Okay.
Raythene turns and says, "We have to get the tiller up here. That might work, but we're going to have to get it on deck."
Take care of those spiders.
Okay, Clara and Geen, you're on the remaining bitey hamsters. How would you like to just dispatch them?
You
Three.
said there's 3?
Hmm.
Okay, then I'm just gonna pull out my long sword and see if I can just go whack, whack, whack as much as I can.
Yeah, go ahead. They're quick.
Okay. That's not great. That's an 8 to hit with 5 damage.
You miss. Clara also misses. And one bites you, Geen. You take 4 points of poison damage. Okay, and I'd like you to make a Constitution saving throw.
7.
You immediately feel the effects and begin to cough up a white foamy liquid. Okay.
Okay.
Clara stands over you protectively, waiting for the next round. We have a tiller lodged against the boat and the dock.
Yes. So if the spiders are at least distracted, one of the things I was going to do is take it arm over arm and pull it up. I literally have a, again, 500-pound draw.
Yep. You begin to move this tiller up, and you're able to extend it over the water and begin to hand it to Raythene. She gets a hand on it. She pulls it slightly onto deck. Kane, you're ready there. At that point, you hear a snarling from behind you. Dragonborn! You hear come over your shoulder. When you look behind you, there are 3 orcs, one astride a warg. Face me, Dragonborn! And you can see now that the kobolds have begun teeming over the gate and heading streaming down into the town and filtering out through the town, staying back. And you can see at the bottom of the gate, 100 feet or more, you can see a cackling red draconic figure of a sorceress saying, "Kill him!" And advancing on you is this monstrous orc.
Is the orc on the ship?
The orc is on his warg, with 2 in behind him and heading down the pier. You and Raythene are struggling to slip these pins into place.
Yep, I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so you're working on that. It's going to take you a little while to get it done. Okay? Okay, he is halfway down the pier now. Rogar, you are standing there staring at him.
Yes, if Geen can fire. Geen, take a shot.
I mean, I can try.
You'll take one at disadvantage, please.
Yeah.
Hanging over the rail, foam spurting from your mouth.
Oh,
You let fly.
Ian, she's got rabies.
Oh, that's actually not bad. 22 to hit. I'm adding my Kansei shot to that, so that's 8
Yes.
damage.
You hit him, and he takes a bolt square. Snarls, but continues his attack. Continues to press his advance. Clara, at this point, ignores the spiders who are still nipping at her feet. Turns, and to engage this guy. Run! We gotta do something, she says. Rogar, I'm gonna give the next action to you.
Okay. The one who needs assistance the most right now is going to be Geen. So I'm going to put protection from evil on her.
Okay, that's done. He continues his advance.
And then while protection from evil is on her, the orc is at disadvantage for anything he attempts to do to her. And the same thing that I will do in that last moment is a laying on hands of, what was the amount that you were taking originally? 4 down?
4, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, 4 back up.
Okay.
But I'm still poisoned.
Face me, Dragonborn, and he begins to, and he kicks his warg and starts it on a charge. That was your action, though?
Yes.
Ed? Okay. Clara then looks him squarely in the eye and will cast Chromatic Orb on him. She does indeed hit. And I will calculate the damage separately. Okay, and this blinding orb goes off. His mount turns sharply to the side and tosses him to the cobbles. He rights himself quickly. He's now 12 feet away from you, turns, looks square at you, and draws his great axe off his back
Okay.
and advances. Okay, we are on the order. I'm going to say, Kane, you are still struggling with Raylene. She's looking at you. You've got the javelin and the quarterstaff above you, and clink clink, it slips in, finally going all the way through, and you can feel that you have the tiller. You have space on the tiller.
Great. I guess I'll try to steer the ship.
The ship is not going anywhere. The sails are furled. Okay?
Oh, okay. No, that's a bad idea. I'm just gonna go and unfurl the sails and.
You head up to the sails, and there is a juicy spider, having two of them crawling up the mainmast where the rope is.
Come on, magic missile.
Magic missile, zip zip. You hit the spiders. You hit the rope. Go ahead and roll. You're
Okay.
point blank. Okay, so.
Yeah. So 3. So I'll be
Or
4 for.
you could shocking grasp, given you had it ready.
Nah, I already
All
rolled
right,
for
magic missiles, because it's ding. Away they go.
So it's 4, 4, and 5. 2 on one of the spiders, and and 5 on the other one. So it'll be.
The one hit point spiders explode,
Oh,
both of
okay.
them. The rope that was holding the mast, which is a scissor type mast, falls, unfurling a triangular sail. The sail is not yet catching the wind. The rope that would haul it up normally now swings loosely as your missile severed it from the mast. The mast is a scorched spot with burning cinders in the middle of it. There is a neat hole seared into a part of the sail.
Whoops.
Raythene jumps down onto the dock next to you, Rogar. And she goes, "Shield biter, you owe me. You owe me a death." And she runs at him with her loaned
All right. I'll
mace.
try and keep pace with her, even though she got a
Sure.
jump start.
She's past you. He swings on her, and the great axe comes down heavily.
Are we within 5 feet of one another?
You are within 5 feet.
Okay, then I will leap forward and cause him to have
Were you-
disadvantage.
He rolls again, and this time, well, I guess I can't crit on the second one.
Maybe not.
No, but I'll take the first roll, and he will roll for. Okay, she has been struck heavily and skitters off to the side with a massive blow going right into the side of her shoulder. But she is not yet bloodied, but it was an ugly hit. She swings on him, and I just dropped my dice, so pardon me. And will hit, but it is not a terribly effective hit. Okay? You can go, Rogar, if you'd like.
Okay.
Pardon me. Actually, there are attacks that can happen off the deck face. Geen, I'm gonna have you roll one more Constitution saving throw for me. Sorry.
Okay. That is 14.
You are able to hold on, and you are free to attack if you wish.
I will shoot.
At disadvantage, please.
Yeah. I need. Oh, there it is. Okay. That's 11 to hit. And 5 damage if I do hit.
Yeah. No, you don't hit.
Yeah.
It skitters off plate armor. Clara now turns on him. She attempts to cast Hold Person. He fails. He is rendered immobile for a moment. And snarls. "Ah, trickery!" he screams. Runt, what do you wish to do at this point?
Are there still spiders?
Spiders have been dispatched.
Okay.
Either
And-
by you or Trout.
And on the dock, is he close enough to throw a dagger at him?
Yes. For you, what's your what's your range?
I think it's 20 feet and 60 feet
Actually,
disadvantage.
I will say no, not close enough for that. But you do have your sling.
Oh, okay. I'll use that then. That is a 21 to hit.
Hit. Yep.
And that is 7 damage.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, you make a nasty hit right on his temple.
I don't want to go.
With
If
that
I hit
hit,
him.
there is an immediate sign of blood, which seems to infuriate him more as he tastes it roll into his mouth. He will begin to motion to the two behind him now that his warg has run past them. That he wants them to come down, and they begin to straighten, and you see a host of them moving towards him, and now you see the sorceress Gerala also approaching the foot of the pier, cackling wildly and beginning to cast. At that point, you see one of the orcs that was sort of hanging back begin to sort of snicker and snarl and look around. She needs a moment for that. So we are now to you, Kane.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to maneuver the sail so it's catching wind.
Okay. You begin to ready sail, and so you are able to take the control rope of the main arm, and you pull it back towards where the tiller is, and you've got a handle on it. And indeed, you pull on it, and it begins to catch wind, and the boat slowly starts to grind off of the deck.
I'm gonna yell out, "Someone take control of the tiller!"
At this point, Raythene, Clara, who's had the longest time to look at this, she says, "It's still tied at the nose. It's tied at the nose," she says, and indeed you can feel it starting to pull against its nose rope and swing. Okay. She runs to the deck there, and run. You can join her if you'd like. We have Clara and we have Rogar and Raythene on the deck. Raythene advances on this orc. "Shieldbiter, you owe me for my daughter." And she brings a monster down, having missed her last one. Your mace, Brad, is it 8?
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. 1d6.
1d6 at a crit is 12. And he is not down, but he is smashed in the face as he's held immobile. He's going to attempt to break that. Immediately, Rogar, I need you to roll a Constitution saving throw. Pardon me, is it Wisdom?
Wisdom or Constitution?
Wisdom.
11.
11. You are immediately taken over with feelings of hatred and a need to destroy your friends as a crown of iron rises above your head. A flaming crown of madness as you turn and begin to arc back your sword to destroy Raythene. But if you didn't hear it, a massive explosion in all this confusion takes place. Barrels of pitch and tar and turpentine are set alight by Rogar's flaming blade, finally reaching the barrels as they explode and wipe in a 200-foot flame, engulfing the bulk of the Kobold army, blowing the 2 captain orcs into the water and leveling the evil sorceress who has cast this on you, breaking her concentration so that the crown suddenly evaporates and you realize you are saved by your earlier action. She rises, snarling, immune to the flames, but angered beyond belief. Orog, the Orog, Gnarl Shieldbiter, is released as Clara loses concentration on her hold person spell, and he is able to raise his great axe one more time, bringing it down onto Raythene.
As a okay, never mind.
However, she's able to step just to the side, and he does not have enough strength in him to make contact, and it strikes the dock, shattering the blade. He looks up at you, almost asking for a mercy that he thinks he deserves, Rogar. And then he looks back at Raythene, and Raythene looks at you, and she says, "Let it be mine."
He should at least have a weapon.
I don't agree. And she swings and misses. Completely misses. Perhaps he should have a weapon. She looks at you in the most anticlimactic moment of the entire game. Clearing. All right, what do you want to do with this man?
I'm going to go ahead and put a shield of faith upon her.
Okay.
And is there anything at all, even the most remote piece of jagged board, something?
He has an orc's captain's blade at his breast.
Okay. All right. I will gesture for him to draw it, and I'll wait until it's at least out.
Quicker than you thought he was possible. He takes the blade and slashes his own throat and drops to the stone, robbing you of your victory. And you can hear him gaggle and burp. At this point, the boat is beginning to grind its last 2 feet of timber away from the stone of the pier, and under Kane's guidance is beginning to head towards the rocky gate into the open lake. Raythene puts her hand on your shoulder and says, "You owe me revenge."
It's not done. None of this is done.
She reaches up, grabs one of the gunnel rods, and swings herself onto the deck with her good arm. And then she turns around, spits, looking kind of disgusted at you. And with her bloodied arm, she reaches down and offers you her hand.
I'll allow myself to be pulled up.
And she does.
For
I'm
what
not
it's
done. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please.
Now, for what it's worth, at least allow me to close the wound.
She leans heavily against the rail as you touch your hands. Now she's quite hurt, Rogar. This is not a mild wound. And so she's leaning this as the boat is beginning to peel away, and the smoke is billowing up, and there's a sudden white explosion as the distillery erupts in flames, and the boat grinds away from the pier, and your hands find their way to her wound. Not grievous, but definitely ugly.
I have 13 points to give.
And she can take them all. So she will. The ray that hits her in the back was not expected. A searing ray of light. As you are healing her, a ray of evil hits the back of her shoulder blades. Immediately, flesh is rendered from her back. And although you are healing her, this is taking her life. And in a moment, you find that all of your healing is almost being withdrawn from you as this scorching beam is hitting her square in the back. And as you look, concentrating on delivering this, you keep her alive. But she falls in pain at your feet as you see this red draconic sorceress glaring and glowering at you with her arms outstretched, having delivered one last shot at this boat, trying to then turn lazily and survey the damage that's at the pier. The boat is now moving faster and faster. You are now 30 feet away from the end of the pier. You are now 70 feet away from the body of, I would say, the midpoint of the pier and where this sorceress is standing, and moving steadily away.
If I can, I'm driving the ship towards deep sea.
Yeah. You have caught wind in this cove as it swirls, and it is not easy, and you're having to take a chance piloting this out. You don't know these waters. I would like you to... Please, I guess, what would this be? I mean, we're going to take this as... Ooh. I guess it's going to be wisdom.
Wisdom?
Yeah? Or intelligence? What are we...
I would say intelligence.
Okay,
Intelligence?
go intelligence, please.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say, for like the sake of what's been happening, after Geen took her last shot and saw Rogar and Raytheon handling things, she's just gonna sit down on the deck in the fetal position and then just kind of concentrate on herself and just hang out.
All right. I'd like to at that point, Clara will come over to you, and she will remove the potion of restoration that she had received at the watchtower, and she will hold it up to your lips. You will not have seen this before. You wasn't aware she was carrying this. It's happened since then. But she holds it up to your lips, and she bids you drink.
I'll take it.
So, Tim.
Right. Yes.
One.
The bow of the ship grinds mercilessly against some underwater obstruction. You hear a chuckling at your feet. You need some help, boy. Which is weird because this guy looks younger than you. But you see the crumpled form of this sailor sort of nonchalantly cowering behind one of the gunwale walls.
I'm gonna take out my potion of restoration, seeing that he probably needs it more than me. I'm gonna roll it towards him, I'm gonna roll it towards him, because I'm assuming it's like a vial.
Sure. He uncorks it and he goes, "This for that. Fair trade." And he quaffs this thing, stands to his feet, and he goes, "Nope." And he pulls the tiller over. He says, "I need you to pull the sail."
Yes.
Yep.
Pull the sail.
He says, "You kept us heading in this direction, and we'd be gutted before we get to the open water." And he steers the boat, and all of you feel the boat shift underneath you. It's when you see your horses
Oh no.
swarmed by what greedy kobolds are left on the dock, being led away to whatever fate that they may meet. But the boat does skirt between two heavy rock walls and head out into the open ocean.
Run's gonna cut off 2 spider legs, and then while she's munching on one, bring one over to Geen.
I'm just gonna put my hand out and just be like, I'm okay.
The legs don't taste terrible. They cause a slight itch on your face. The boat continues to course outward, and you head for open water. As the dock fades from view and you round the corner, you see that the sorceress is once again looking at you on the pilot's rail at the stern of the boat, Rogar, and staring at you with a seething hatred, we can say.
I'm gonna stroll up to Rogar, and I'm gonna pull out my bow and say, I can take a shot.
Yeah, I will say you can have one at this point.
But I'm only gonna do it if Rogar says yes.
Stay, Dio.
Oh, when he says no, I'm gonna go to the edge, and I'm gonna do this as hard as I can in her direction.
You flip the pseudo dragon at the sorceress. She might notice you, but she's far away at this point, and
She notices. I can feel it.
good. All right. You head into the open water. Tell me what each of you are doing at this point as the boat moves into the water. Geen, you're all, with the exception of Kane, you've all got some measure of damage. So,
Oh, I'm fine now.
okay, you back?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, if we're out in the water, I'm just gonna explore the ship, just see what there is, what inventory there is to take, what rooms there are.
Okay.
Just look around.
Sure. So you begin to look at the rails where things are tied, and there are several deck pockets that you can open and look into.
Yeah. I want to look for food or tools or just anything that we might need.
When you do this, Kane, I'm going to say you notice, as you're not looking over the rail and you are waiting for commands from the sudden commander of this, that you see him eyeing Geen carefully. Geen, as you head towards one of these holds, he bristles and straightens. You don't see this, though, as you open it up. When you open this particular hold, you see that inside there are a few sacks, and there is a small chest. And that chest is marked with a familiar symbol. When you rack your brain and you wonder where you've seen it before, but I will say you recognize it as the symbol of Braden Yill.
Can I carry it?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
not
big?
it's not large at all. It's like this. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna take it over to Rogar and just say, look.
Rogar, roll perception for me very quickly.
12.
You can feel a hot emotion coming from the man at the tiller. And when you glance over at him, he's staring at this box and the eyes are jetting back and forth. You're not exactly sure what this feeling is that you're getting.
I don't mind calling him out on it, though. What is this thing to you? We know what it is to us.
It's nothing to me. You're nothing to me.
You lie.
You lie, jerk.
Insight check on him.
Can I I've had enough of this guy. Can I put this chest thing down and I want to go up to him and I want to take flurry of blows at him?
Okay. He's had 3 points of restoration from you. Yes, Brad?
Correct.
And a potion of restoration for me.
And a potion of restoration for you. Can somebody roll for that potion real quick?
What's the dice on that?
D8.
D8, got it.
D8 plus 3, I think. 4.
10 HP healed, or 11 with plus 4.
Good. Go ahead, Geen.
Okay. I'm taking 2 shots at him.
Don't
Yep.
kill him.
He's said so many things that have just made me really annoyed.
Understandable.
It's bludgeoning damage.
So the first one is going to be 16 to hit with 6 points of damage.
Yep. And you hit.
The second one is going to be 13 to hit with 7 points of damage.
That that one glances, we'll say. So the total, you land several blows. He's able to parry some of them. Well, what was the damage on the first round?
What did I say? Was that 6? Did I say 6?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, 6 for the first one, and
Okay.
7 for the second one.
Sorry,
He takes-
common healing potion. I was way off.
He takes the damage, rights himself, rubs off his hands, and goes, "Steer the boat yourself." Raythene puts her hand on you, Rogar, and says, "We need this man. This man is one of our navigators. We can't let him die. If you let him die, we will never find Braden. Oh, pardon me. We will never find Burkle. Burkle."
I'll get in the way of wherever it is he's heading and hold up both hands and say, wait.
Burkle. Yeah, you need Burkle. That drunk. That fool.
Hold your tongue. It's what got you in trouble in the first place.
Do I hear that?
Allow us to be at least civil while we share this boat. Wherever we reach land, you're welcome to go your separate ways.
His lips begin to pat lick his lips. I may not want to go where you want to go. Where do you want to go, stranger? And this cockiness is just dripping from him.
We've searched far and wide. We seek one person or another. We either seek her, and I'll point to Geen, her sister, or we seek Burkle.
I know where
One
Burkle.
must lead to the other.
I know where Burkle is, you fool. Maybe I don't want to go there. You noticed what was sticking out of my back when you got here, Raythene. I don't want to go there. You can't make me go there, and you can't get there without me. I die, you're lost, and you know it. And he points a hand at her, and then he holds up the back of his palm like this. Tell him. And on the back of the palm, those of you who are looking, you see 3 stars tattooed over his pinky, his middle finger, and his thumb knuckles. And you can see that one of them right now is glowing a pale silvery blue. Raythene shakes her head. He's right. He's not only a navigator. He's the son of the leader of the Grey Patriots. And he's also what we call a compass. The tattoo that he bears steers us to where the Grey Patriots are. He dies, the light grows dim. We'll never find them. They have hundreds of points that they would choose to gather after an attack like that. We need him. Rogar, you've got your hands outstretched as you said like this. And he chest bumps you and he'll say to you, hear that smoke breath? You need me. And he gets right up in your grill. And the moment he does that, a surge of evil flows through your hands. And you are very clear that this man would kill you all if he had the chance. Can you steer this boat? She turns to you, Kane.
I've driven much smaller, but I can most likely steer this boat. But based on how it went at the beginning, I might need some help from him.
Tie him up. We can use his skin. She asks for rope. She ties him next to the gunwale and ties his arm outstretched. And finally, for the first time in the day, you feel as though you're safe and you can let down your guard. The Moonsea is not small and this ship is not fast. You are finally able to take a rest if you need it. And even you, Kane, can take a rest if someone's willing to take the tiller and hold by your directions.
Long rest or a short rest? That's what I'm wondering.
We will say that the wind is not high, and it is. You've been on the water now for 10 hours. The stars are beginning to come out. You will know that your heading is true according to the tattoo. He's asleep at this point. The tattoo is still reading. You will have been able to rest, and you can hand off the tiller to one who would volunteer at this point.
I want to walk up to where this guy is tied up, and as I'm munching a spider leg, try to shove one in his face to see if he wants it.
He's asleep, and he looks up at you and he says, I never mind. I've never minded hairy things. And he grabs the spider leg. He does not take you for someone who is opposed to eating pretty much anything. He almost takes your hand off with it.
I want to pat his head and then move along.
He sort of raises a chop at you and puts his head back down on the rail and stares forlornly out at the water. What are the rest of you doing at this point? Kane, you're still on the tiller.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, could someone take over steering for me?
Clara will offer. She'll say, I have a bit of experience with boats anyway, and she takes the tiller and she leans on it.
Do I know that Claire is from Waterdeep? Or if she is from Waterdeep?
She is not from Waterdeep, but
okay.
she does have water nearby, so we can assume that she's not completely ignorant.
I'm gonna say thank
Just
you.
keep it here, this heading. I'll wake you. There's trouble with the
Yes.
waves. She begins to concentrate on this. The man now is behind her, off to her left. Where are you, Rogar?
I'd like to approach him as everything gets quiet and he grows sullen and just relaxes.
Yeah, he seems content to sleep for the most part.
Okay. Before he is content to rest again, I'll bring him water from our water skin.
Got it. He'll take it, spit it in the water. At this point, you all are mulling around. Where is it? Who's Kane? You're resting. Claire is on the.
I was gonna say right before I rest, I want to cast Identify on that javelin.
Sure. It is a javelin of lightning.
Okay.
All right. Where are you arrayed on the boat? Very quickly. as you begin to be lulled into a deep sense of relaxation by the waves.
I'm hanging out by the bow. I'm
Sure.
just looking out on the water. Just
Great.
I wanna
Runt,
be-
your front as well?
I am trying to convince Clara that I can steer into the boat myself.
Excellent.
Getting flung.
Just 'cause- no, Jesus, come here. So you and Claire are having a little tiller filler, and
Yes.
Rogar, you've got Raythene next to you. You're both at the back of the boat, sitting next to or nearby this. Are you in the same corner of this gent, or are you on the other side?
Yeah, where Jaren is currently tied. And shaking my head and say, "Is he going to be like this the entire time?"
I haven't seen him for months, maybe years. He was taken into prison. Look there. She points to the back of his neck, and you can see a large, ugly brand in the back of his scalp where the hair is. He was imprisoned a while back. I didn't know he was here. We had heard he had been arrested. He was fixed up with some bad sorts. Has big dreams, this one. I don't know why.
He wouldn't even accept fresh water.
I don't know why his father would even let him back in the group. He's an asshole, frankly. The night wears on. All of you find the quiet. Soon, Clara is steering by moonlight as the moon rises up over the bow. Rogar and Raythene, Clara, and a Runt, who I picture slumped up against Rogar's feet or something, hear the ropes and the creaks of the timber, but then you hear another rope pulling a rope that's getting tighter and tighter, as if it's being torn apart, as if it's being pulled as tight as it can. You hear a labored breathing, and as you look in the clear, full moonlight at Jaren slumped against the side of the gunwale tied, he begins to twitch. And you feel him pulsing, growing. And you see him raise his face to the moon.
Oh yeah. No.
Moon glinting off of ivory tusks. Beginning to tear his hand free.
Werewolves.
And the large boar-like figure stands in front of you. And begins
Wherefore.
to turn against his constraints and rip at the ropes binding him. And that's where we'll end.
When you said high moon and then you started to struggle, I was like, and that's when my whole Kane screaming vampires thing started going off in my head.
Hey, we got like the yin and yang of that, honestly. Vampires, boar.
That fits.
So, apologies for running.
Struggle.
There you go. Apologies for running a little bit over. So
That's okay.
we'll sum up quite quickly. Shady, why don't you tell us where your beans go tonight?
My bean's gonna go to I'm gonna say Kane, because when you mentioned the runes and he snapped over when he heard runes, like that, I learned something about him because of that I did
Okay.
not know before.
Good. Geen.
I'm gonna give my bean to Kane as well, because I really liked how he tried to get creative with that alcohol mud mixture. And
Alcohol mud, yeah.
even though it didn't work out the way he wanted it to, hey, you tried, you did your best.
Really wish I was about to invent napalm there, honestly.
No, it was a really good idea. Okay.
I'm going with napalm mud.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going
Good.
with napalm mud.
So we got 3 to Kane, and Kane, round us out.
Okay. I would say, honestly, Runt with the whole spider leg situation. I call it a situation because Jesus, that was. Ugh.
Yeah.
I was
Honestly, I said-
wondering when she ate it. I thought that she would have had to like been poisoned or something.
I kind of assumed it.
No, you can't eat the bodies. The bodies.
Yeah, the
Oh.
body has the
Legs are
poison
safe.
glands.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
legs
the
are
legs are
safe, but
safe.
poison glands are in
Can't
the
eat the
body.
bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like fugu fish. You can't
Yes,
eat the body.
exactly.
Well, I've got one to
Does.
give, and I'm sorry that we're a little rushed tonight, but my favorite moment was when Runt stepped in to help Rogar, and he, in the middle of melee, thrust his shield through to catch one for her before she took it. And so I'm going to go ahead and give mine to Rogar, Brad. So that would be my choice.
Thank
So you guys you're on a boat.
We're on a boat.
Well, I mean, the thing about, I've never done a boat campaign. I hope it's not
Finally
boring.
becoming pirates.
Oh,
that's
man.
bad. That's bad.
Dang.
Hey, yeah, I forgot. I took some silk and made a bandana. So
Yeah.
I'm set.
Or-
Silk and-
Alrighty.
Oh, that's so
We're
bad.
becoming pirates. What every D&D campaign must do is become pirates.
Right.
Look, coming from Waterdeep, I didn't know coming from Waterdeep was going to give me these perks of ship sailing.
There you go. So, I guess we'll cut it off there. Thanks for sticking out, and we're a little bit over tonight, but thanks very much for putting up with that. And next week we're gonna have Kelsey. So I guess that's
Yes.
goodbye from us here at Banner and Chance, and I hope you had fun watching us. I hope all of you had fun playing it.